Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now, on our journeys to Chap Nirvana, that place of stylish elegance where we all seek to be, we all come across the odd challenge and question that we may seek to bounce off somebody else. That's what I'm here for. Uncle Ash is here to help you with my 54 years of life experience, several careers behind me, lots of traveling, living in other countries. I'm here to offer you my observations. And today I am going to speak about a subject which I've had a remarkably large number of questions about in the last year or so. It's about tipping, when it's appropriate, what's the etiquette? And this particular question comes from a gentleman whom wishes to remain anonymous for the purposes of our interaction today, because I guess he doesn't want to know the people who he was going to tip to know that he's asking such a question. So let me tell you what the question is. I am writing to seek your guidance on a matter of etiquette. I eagerly anticipate the arrival of my first Rolex, a Datejust 41, in the coming week. In light of this, I would like to enquire about the appropriate etiquette for tipping a salesperson who has assisted me in my purchase. The authorized dealer prefers cash payments over credit cards. I am considering adding an additional $50 or $100 to the cash I will bring to the retail establishment. While I believe that this gesture of appreciation would be well received, I am also concerned that it may be perceived as gauche or tacky. I have conducted some research on this topic, but I have only encountered cynical or trolling comments. Okay, so firstly, important to acknowledge that this is a gentleman from the United States of America. So that's relevant in the way that we talk about these matters, because tipping is perceived differently in different parts of the world. But before I even talk about tipping, let me just say congratulations on your new Rolex Datejust 41, a absolute great first Rolex. I mean, my first ever Rolex I'm wearing on my wrist today, a few years old now, but it is also a Datejust, but mine is a 36mm. And I hope you've gone for Jubilee bracelet, fluted bezel, because that for me screams Datejust. It's an iconic watch. It, can trace its history. I think it's the oldest watch currently in the Rolex collection, which is still available to purchase today, and it hasn't changed in its appearance hardly at all since 1945, I think, when it came out. Also, the Datejust is such a practical watch. You can wear it everywhere, all of the time, if you want to. You can wear it on holiday, in the sea, swimming at the pool, every day because of its water resistance. It is, after all, an oyster perpetual case, as Rolex called them. Absolutely solid performance in the water, yet with the Jubilee bracelet, so elegant, can easily be worn in the boardroom with your suit or in normal day-to-day activity. It's a great watch, very flexible for all walks of life, and it's as robust as hell. I have to say, mine is 6 or so years now, fairly often worn, and it looks the same as it did when I first bought it. However, we digress. Let's talk about tipping. It's become something of a hot potato topic for sure. In fact, even this morning, when I was sat at the breakfast table having my bowl of kedgeree, I actually read an article in the Times, actually, the paper I take here in the UK, in which one of the correspondents broached the subject of this creep of tipping culture, which started in North America and is slowly but surely creeping into the UK and Europe. Maybe now commonly, particularly in London and big cities, you'll be buying a cup of coffee, maybe a sandwich, in an outlet where you largely have to serve yourself, and you will be on the payment sort of machine where you're paying by card. It will make a suggestion of a 10% tip, 15% tip, 20% tip, and it is becoming laughably ludicrous, I think, where they're asking us to tip in situations where actually you're largely providing your own service. What are you tipping for? This is what you have to ask yourself. So this is really coming across. However, I am so pleased to see, and actually read this morning in the paper, This tipping culture is being soundly rebuffed by British people who are declining to offer tips. And even sometimes when you go to a fine restaurant and you're brought the bill and you will read that there is a service charge already added of 15%, 20%, discretionary. That's key thing. You must always remember that if you have had anything less than exceptional service, call in that tip. Get the waiter back and say, look, I waited half an hour between courses, it was too long, beyond my expectation, reduce that tip down to 10%, or remove the discretionary gratuity from the bill entirely. You won't be going back a place which serves you like that anyway, so who cares? But the tip is for exceptional service. Always remember that. Now, I know it's different in North America because of somewhat less scrupulous employment practices, that it is possible for people to be employed on very low incomes and hence to rely heavily upon the tip as their major input in their income. That is tragic that happens in a country such as America, the largest economy in the world after all, that people are scratching around to earn a living from their tips. I'm just giving you the European perspective. Think about where it sits in your own world and how it would fit. That's all I will say. Just remember that tips are for exceptional service, not for standard or substandard service. So let's talk about tipping a Rolex authorized dealer. That's really what our anonymous correspondent has asked us to broach today. And I think we need to tread more carefully the normal gratuity giving here when we're launching into the world of luxury retail, because let's be honest, that's what a Rolex watch is. It is a very expensive luxury product. Nobody needs a Rolex watch. It's not like buying a meal or a coffee, where they are kind of daily normal activities. When we buy something from the luxury retail world, I think it is typically expected or customary that we are paying for everything all in one go when we purchase that $10,000 watch or whatever item, the Louis Vuitton handbag that you're buying for your wife, or the Hermes scarf that you're buying. You know, this is all encompassed in the excessive amount of money that we're already paying for the item. We are not generally expecting to tip the sales agent or the sales assistant for simply supplying us with an item which we are already paying a luxury price for. And let's not forget either that many of these sales associates are paid a salary, maybe even on commission basis. So the item that we're buying is already directly impacting their income anyway by us buying it. To go a bit further and tipping might well be misconstrued. Misconstrued how, you may ask? Well, particularly in the world of luxury watches, Rolex especially, because it is a watch which many of them do attract a premium on the secondary market. So shall we say, if you bought a Submariner in the situation we're talking about today, you could buy that watch, sell it tomorrow for more money, because there is a scarcity in the wider world. So if you've been able to source one from an authorized dealer, you could sell it for a little profit. And in that way, one could argue the authorized dealer is doing you a good favor. Different for a Datejust, they don't tend to attract higher premiums after purchase, but if you give the sales agent a tip, it might be misconstrued as you're trying to ingratiate yourself with that authorized dealer, or maybe sort of grease the path for future purchases of a similar luxury level. So I'd be somewhat guarded about offering a tip to our authorized dealer. I would suggest there are some alternatives which exist, which are stylish and elegant and allow us to retain our, sort of authenticity without appearing to lower the tone by slipping some cash to the guy who's just sold us a $10,000 item. What would I do as an alternative? Probably the highest on my list is the most human thing of all, and that is to write a heartfelt thank you note, maybe a day or two after you've collected your watch, whilst you're still fresh in that individual's memory. I would, on some beautiful customized stationery, which as an intentionally well-dressed man, I'm sure you already have, but if you haven't, this may be the opportunity to source it on some lovely stationery. Write a handwritten note of thanks in which you express your gratitude for the exceptional service which you've been provided and offer your thanks. And I think that provides a very personal touch of thanking somebody. They're left with a physical item in their hands, something to remember you by. Maybe you might give them a card of thanks instead. But I think a handwritten note card is by far the most stylish. And they're going to think, wow, this guy was classy. He had a bit of taste about him. That is more likely to allow them to remember you in the future than you trying to grease their palm with a $50 note. Believe me, those handwritten notes scream elegance. That's where I'd be going. If that's not your thing, maybe a small gift, something thoughtful yet modest, to the same amount perhaps that you were intending to give them as a cash value. So maybe a small box of chocolates with, again, a nice handwritten note, raising the tone a little. Or you could maybe give them a nice bottle of wine, bottle of bubbly, a bottle of champagne, $50 to $100. Somebody will think they've really won the lottery. If somebody came into my life and gave me a $100 bottle of champagne, I think, wow, you know, the heavens have smiled on me today, and I would, you know, trip home with a skip in my step. That's all that you need to do. It's not quite the same as trying to ingratiate somebody. You're going to leave a lovely, classy impression. You know, make sure you know that maybe they're a drinker. If you are, going to give them an alcoholic beverage, clearly not if they're from some religious persuasions. They're not going to be drinkers of alcohol. But factor that into your thought sort of making process. Maybe a positive review. You know, if they've really done you a good service, and the shop that you've bought it from, your item from, your watch, has an online sort of review program. Leave a fabulously glowing review for them where you say, you know, I was served by David, the salesman, who did me proud. He was excellent, classy, elegant, well-spoken, treated me like a king, a fabulous service, highly recommended. Now, for some folks who work in a retail environment, something like that may be altogether, you know, really valuable for them. It's going to do wonders for them with their supervisors. They're going to be thought of very well. Might mean the difference between being kept on at a tough time where trade drops off, maybe in the new year. Nobody's buying fancy things in the new year. They might need to, you know, decide which staff members stay, which members leave. Great reviews is how good managers will make decisions based on performance. And you can show them that you're pleased with the performance that you've achieved. And if you're so inclined, right, and you want to go a step further than leaving an electronic review, place a phone call into the authorized dealer 2 days after you've collected your watch. Ask them to speak to the store manager and say, look, you know, Mr. Smith, you won't remember me, we didn't meet, but I was in the store on Tuesday. I was served by David, the salesman. I just want to tell you, you know, from boss to boss, this guy did you proud. He was an amazing ambassador for your shop. Your retail experience came across amazingly. I came away thinking I've been served fabulously. I was very pleased with the item I bought, and I've already recommended you to other friends of mine in my social circle as a place to go to buy these items because of the way I was treated by David. And I come from a background where it's my belief where you've had a good turn, you say thank you for it. And this is just me expressing to you how David did a great job for me. He, upheld your values fabulously. Thank you very much. That's all you need to do. That staff member is going to be chuffed, and the boss is going to be happy too, because he or she knows that they've employed somebody who's getting the job done perfectly. Little touches like this. It's not about money. You'll notice being a little more classy and elegant in the way that you offer your thanks is just how you do it. Now, I appreciate in North America, you may still wish to express your gratitude in the way of a financial tip of some kind. I would say the classy way of dealing with that is to frame it as a gesture of appreciation, not as just, backhanding them a bit of cash. I would say, look, I've got $100 here for you. I appreciate this is not normal. Perhaps you don't take cash. But for me, what I would like you to do is go out and have a drink with your colleagues. At the end of a shift, go and have a beer each, or take your wife out for a lovely meal. Here's $100, if that covers a meal. I don't know these days. Take your wife out for a meal and just do so in the knowledge that I am very thankful and grateful. So, frame it in that context. It's not like slipping them some dirty cash across the table. It's really about, go out and enjoy yourself and think of me when you're doing so. I think there's a certain amount of elegance about that which comes across in the gesture. But what I would finish by saying is that just remember, these are guys whose job it is to sell us highly overpriced, some would say obscenely overpriced luxury items. I don't think we really should be tipping them for just doing their job. But I understand when you're grateful that somebody's, maybe bumped you up what they call the list to get the watch of your desires a little quickly, and you want to express gratitude. For me, a handshake and a genuine thanks is enough. But hopefully today I've given you some alternative routes that you could take if you wished to go on a different direction. So there we go. If you've enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe for more. If you'd like to ask me a question just like today, drop it into the comments, or more preferably, send me an email. They come to me directly. I'm the only person who reads them, no judgment. And if you want to remain anonymous like today, I can facilitate that. If you'd like to support the channel, you could buy me a coffee, one-off thing, or for a tiny, tiny monthly fee of, I think it's £3, you can become one of my patrons, and then you can benefit from the extra videos I make each week and a personal interaction with me as well, if that is your wish. And you can find out how to become a patron by following the links in the show notes below this video. So until the next time, enjoy your new Rolex, sir, and use your noggin when it comes to the tip-in, and you won't go far wrong. Take care.